Time is ever shifting. We live in an age of informational abundance. We also live in an age of constant stress. We are more isolated and more pressured. Whether it may be keeping busy with multiple work shifts to make ends meet, or slaving away at a university course that in the end just wasn't worth it. The marvels of modern technology mean we're always in touch with the people that matter in our lives, but there are some of us that end up being left behind, alone with only our thoughts to keep us occupied. It's in those circumstances that we desire places to escape: Discord calls, social media sites, or even video games. And for a time, Stardew Valley was that escape for me. Stardew Valley is the successor to Harvest Moon. I'm sure at least a good portion of you have heard of the game, as at the time of writing, it sold over 10 million copies according to developer Concerned Ape's Twitter. Congrats, by the way. But if you aren't aware of it, the rundown is it's a farming RPG with a host of other activities, including fishing, foraging, socializing, mining, and spelunking. Though the last two could be linked together, but alas. The general plot of the game is that you are an individual tired of the stressful life in the city. You inherit a plot of farmland from your grandfather, which gives you the incentive to move away into Stardew Valley. That's all there is to it to get the basic gist of Stardew Valley down. So I want to drive the focus into the topic of this video, which is the community aspect of Stardew Valley. The feeling of community you get in Stardew Valley is probably one of the reasons I end up returning to the game. At its best, the game can be incredibly immersive and you fall into this trance of repeating routine. Waking up, attending to your farm, visiting the town to talk to the locals, or doing chores, going fishing or spelunking. Maybe after that you show up to the local tavern for a few minutes to grab a drink or two, or if you're like me, just to stock up on coffee and food. And after all of that, you rest your weary head, eager for the next day. Stardew Valley is a game that lets you set your own goals, and I think that's one of its biggest strengths. The only constraint is the time you have on a per-day basis. But that doesn't mean the game is devoid of anything meaningful. There are plenty of hooks that keep players invested, such as various skills to level up or the progression of your farm. However, I think the community is the most engaging hook of Stardew Valley, and a big part of that is thanks to the community center. It acts as the game's long-term goal that keeps you invested into seeing its end, watching it expand over time until eventually you fulfill all of the bundles to see it complete. The rewards you get from completing various bundles are valuable, providing things that can benefit your farm or strengthen your relationship with other villagers. Spending time interacting with the other villagers is, in my opinion, another big chunk of Stardew Valley's gameplay. I would say they're near essential even, at least some of them are. Socializing with the villagers has various forms of engagement. There's talking to them, befriending them with gifts, doing tasks for them via the community board at Pierre's shop, and if you are close enough with a few of them, you can marry them. Leah best girl, by the way. There are benefits to befriending them, of course, but that isn't the focus of my video. Socializing with these NPCs, even if limited, feels enjoyable. And like I said, when you reach that trance-like state of following routine, it is very pleasant and immersive. You feel like a part of something. A lot of effort was put into making each villager feel unique, from the way they speak, to their preference of gifts, to their routines. Each villager has their own times and schedules that alternate depending on the day, and learning those patterns is really cool, like knowing when someone is doing something in real life. It's little things like that that just add to this feeling of being part of a small community, and I really appreciate it. So, confession time. I've never actually beaten the game at all. Even with so much time invested into the game, I've never quite reached the end, and to be honest, I don't think I ever could. Constantly do I restart, binge the game for a week or two, then just drop it and move on, only to later fall back into it and think, I have no clue what I did last, let me start a new game. The reality is that Stardew Valley is a temporary escape for me, when things are just too much or I am in a place where I feel alone and have nowhere to turn to. Stardew Valley was there for me, and it still is. I live for the most part in isolation. The only people I have to turn to are those online, and even then it's hard to want to talk to them over Discord. Replaying Stardew Valley now has made me appreciate how reassuring it is, letting me know that no matter how bad things are, there's always a cozy little village to be in, no matter how long you need it. I will always favor the harder hitting experiences in games, be it Disco Elysium, or Dark Souls, or Silent Hill, or whatever it may be. But I think we can all benefit from games like Stardew Valley, if anything to serve as a break from all the doom and gloom, especially now when we are still dealing in fact with COVID. We could all use a community. Thank you very much for watching this video. Any likes and subscriptions are appreciated. However, I want to instead take this time for something else. If you are someone that is struggling right now, just know that you aren't alone, and that things will get better in time. Those lows eventually have to come back up. If you know anyone that is particularly lonely, why not just check up on them? Shoot them a message, play a few games, watch a movie together. Online, of course. But regardless, maybe they just need someone to assure them that things will get better, and that person can be you. If you wish to keep up with what I'm doing, my Twitter is in the description. Thank you again, and take care.